sins, or if I sin, then I confess it to her and we pray. So that's the next kind of ring of accountability.
Yeah.
The next outer ring would be my boss at work. So Dave, the pastor I work for, I've given him permission to speak into my life. And then a broader ring would be other pastors at Grace Church. And then the broader ring outside of that would be friends, people that I really love and care about. Would be like my dad, or people like you, AJ, who who I respect, and I just want to be like, hey, if you see things in me that you don't like, or you think, wow, that doesn't seem very godly or Christian or Christ-like, giving people permission to speak into your life, I think, is really important. So
yeah.
I've sort of built in some concentric circles of responsibility that I really want to be held accountable. And then if you do screw up, then confess it, apologize and make things right.
For sure. That's awesome to hear, just about the different types of accountability and all the different rings that you talked about. One of the things that we're looking at within this leadership class specifically is trying to examine the difference in so it's looking about like the desired careers that we want to go into, and looking at the difference that a person who is in America in that role, like how that works for them compared to how a person who's from another country, let's say like, for example, a British pastor, like what would you say are some of the big differences that you've seen? Obviously your dad was a pastor in the UK, you're a pastor here in America. What are some cultural differences or things that you've noticed between those two countries?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think culturally, British people are less friendly initially, but if you become a friend, you're kind of a friend for life.
Wow.
And they expect a level of transparency. I think the difference in the US culture is that everybody's initially super friendly and like, oh yeah, this is so cool, that's so great, you're such a cool guy. But there's very little follow through. And so the difference is that the British might not be as friendly or as welcoming initially, but if you do break in, that if you find a friend, they're really committed to that friendship. Whereas in the US, it's not that it's kind of like trite or insignificant, but I think that initial kind of friendliness, Minnesota nice, you might call it, is oh yeah, you're my friend, but you're never going to come to my home, or we're never going to get a meal out, or we're never going to hang out, but I'm going to be super friendly to you if I meet you in the street.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? So
for sure.
There's an initial reserve, I think, in the British culture that if you break through that reserve, they're really committed to friendship.
Wow. That's amazing to hear the difference between that. I would not have thought of that, but that makes a lot of sense now that you bring it up. Yeah.
And I think, too, another difference would be culturally. So in the US, there's still kind of a remnant of cultural Christianity where, you'd say to people, oh, do you believe in God? Oh, yeah. Do you go to church? Oh, no, I don't go to church. Whereas in England, if you said to people, oh, do you believe in God? And they say, yeah. You say, oh, what church do you go to? Because the culture is much more anti-Christian. There's less cultural Christianity. So in England, if you meet a Christian, you know that they are serious about their faith if they admit to being a Christian.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. So next question is, what advice would you give to someone in America who is just starting in this field, who's considering going into vocational ministry and becoming a pastor?
I would say that I think one of the key things is to find people that you can really trust and be accountable to, because most people that want to be in ministry, not most people, but some people who want to be in ministry, a lot of times it's about them and their dreams. But in Proverbs, it says that a gift will make room for itself. And so I think that one of the things I've always felt was like, do the things that God is calling me to do, and then let Him take care of ministry expansion.
Yeah.
So, and if I think it's a kingdom principle. If you are faithful in the little things,